Hello everyone, and thank you for coming to our event today. My name's Leah Ellis, and as the chair of the Merseytravel Unison Branch Equality and Diversity Working Group, I'd like to welcome you here today. I'd next like to hand over to Roger McKenzie, if that's okay. Thank you.
Hi there, everyone. Thanks ever so much for the invitation. Always great to hear from Anna, and always great to hear from Steve as well. Both do magnificent work in Liverpool and across the Liverpool City region, and really awe-inspiring work, and work that I think does inspire the rest of us across the country. I want to start my contribution by taking you back a little bit to more than 50 years ago, to an incident that happened in a small industrial town in the West Midlands in the Black Country. So black woman, pregnant, walking home from doing a cleaning job. She was pregnant, she was on her own, it was a dark night, and she was attacked in the street. She was attacked, not in a quiet street, there were other people there, but she was attacked by, she says, some teddy boys. They nearly killed her, and they nearly killed the child that she was carrying. That woman was my mum, and the child she was carrying was me. So this isn't an academic question to me about equality. This literally is a matter of life and death and how we stand up for each other. There were people who could have stopped that attack, and they chose not to. And this isn't just a story that can stay 50 plus years ago. This is something that is happening today. Again, people are getting attacked in their communities and are scared to leave their homes, not just because of COVID, as difficult as that is for many in the black community, because it hits us harder than everybody else, but it's the second pandemic of racism, that we have to tackle as well, with the same seriousness that we many of us, I won't say all of us, but many of us are trying to tackle the COVID pandemic. Because what we do know about the COVID pandemic is so many black workers have been put in harm's way by the mismanagement of the pandemic by this government. And that is a fact. That is what has happened. In care homes up and down the country, that's what's happened. In health authorities up and down the country, in hospital trusts, that's what's happened. Some months ago, I remember being asked to join a local commemoration after the death of George Floyd by our local health authority branch, where I live now in Oxford. And we were all asked to take a knee, and our branch officials were going to read out all the names of all of the Unison members who had died during the pandemic at that stage. We took a knee and we listened to these names being read out. There were lots and lots of names, and what was really clear just by listening to these names of how many people were clearly identifiable as black people. And we can't allow that sort of stuff to happen again. We can't allow that sort of mistreatment of the black community to continue. We can't allow racists to march through our communities, racists to infiltrate our workplaces and try and divide us as workers against each other, because that is what is happening. That is what is happening. People have decided to use this opportunity. I think Anna and Steve both mentioned this period when we can we have an opportunity to self-reflect. We have an opportunity of being in our homes. Many of us, not everybody is in that situation, obviously, but we have an opportunity to think about what is going on around us. And many people are scared during that period, but it's given me an opportunity as well to think about many of the things that I've had to put up with through my working life and through my life, I started school literally weeks after the Rivers of Blood speech was given, which was given 9 miles away from where I was born and brought up. And the impact of just going into school as a 5-year-old, with that as a background, with people telling you that you don't belong here and that you have no right to exist, and literally, no exaggeration, having to fight my way to school every morning and having to fight my way in school when I'm in school every day, and then having to fight my way back home, only to find more than on a few occasions having to find racist slogans daubed on our house and dog mess and petrol bombs thrown through our letterbox on a regular basis. These are things that are happening not just back in the late 1960s and through the 70s when the National Front tried to march through our communities, but we all know these are things that are happening again today. It's not just about George Floyd, as Steve and Anna have both said. There are lots of things happening, not just 3,000 miles away in the United States, but in this very country too. And we have to stand up together as working people against these things, because nobody else is going to do this for us. What is great about what both Steve and Anna are talking about is the solutions-based approach. I think is absolutely right. But I'll tell you what is really critical for those solution-based approaches to work, and for any solution-based approach to work, to stand up for equality, not just race equality, but all areas equality. It's solidarity. It's people standing together. You don't beat racism with racism. You beat racism with solidarity. It's the only way that you can do it. And that means we all have to come together so that people who try and divide us against each other absolutely understand they're not going to succeed, because there's more of us than them, apart from anything else. And we are prepared to lift our voices for all areas of equality. So it is not right that if you're black, you're 4 times more likely to be unemployed than anybody else. It's not right that if you're a woman, you still have this massive pay gender gap to put up with. It's not right that if you're disabled, you are still treated with disdain in many workplaces and you still don't get access to what you're entitled to. If you're transgender, that you are treated so badly as so many of our transgender brothers and sisters are, and you are discriminated against because of your sexuality, discriminated against because of your age. We could go on. These things need to be tackled, and what makes this initiative by the Unison branch so important, I'm 100% behind you for this, is because you've embarked on a really difficult route. A really difficult route that we cannot underestimate, that we cannot be allowed to journey along on your own. Cannot be allowed. But it's a difficult route that can't be dealt with by hashtags alone, where people just think they can do what I've heard the other day called optical allyship, where you can think you've done your job by just putting a hashtag up and that's it. We have to tackle the discrimination that's around us, and we also have to tackle the prejudices that we, all of us, hold ourselves, and be prepared to be honest about what we face, and be prepared, most importantly, to do something about it. And on no occasion will I exclude the trade union movement from that at all. I will not do that, because I've been around the movement too long, and I've seen too many people who've talked the talk but haven't exactly walked the walk. It is up to us to say that equality benefits everybody. It's up to us to fight for that equality, to stand up and argue for it, even when it's difficult, even when it's people we work closely with, even when it's family and so-called friends, and we have to have really difficult conversations with those people. We can't shy away from them. We have to do it. That's what fighting for equality is really all about. Having those difficult conversations, but it's also about organising and making sure that equality isn't just another report that's been written about all the things that face us, but actually it's about making a real difference to real people in real situations who are facing real hardship. And in the end, there is no knight in shining armour who's going to come to our rescue over this. doesn't exist. The only people we've ever been able to rely on as working class people, the only people, is each other. We have to rely on each other, and we have to stand with each other. We have to organise with each other, and we have to make a difference together. I know that because it's the only thing that ever has made a difference when we have stood up together. So I'm proud to be part of this launch today, and I'm proud to share a platform with people who I know are staunch anti-racist, who are staunch fighters for equality and already make a difference, but I know are committed to going forward and making a difference too. Thanks very much for listening. Good luck in all that you do.
I'm not sure where to begin there, Roger. I've written a page full of notes because I thought your speech was just beyond inspiring. I feel privileged that you've shared the story about your mum and you. I don't even know if I can express how tragic it is to hear that story, but also to know that that still happens on a daily basis, that we still have those issues in society. I do think it's hard sometimes for people to empathise. And as we said before, we spoke about this earlier, it's uncomfortable, you know, but we have to be allies of one another. Like you said, we have to be aware. For instance, I have to be aware of my white privilege. You know, we have to understand that it isn't easy, or it's not the same experience for everybody just to leave your house. You know, not everybody leaves their house feeling safe. And we've got to come together to try and tackle these issues. And, you know, I can proudly say that Liverpool in the past, you know, we have said no to the far right, you know, and we need to do that again, and we need to continue to do that. They are not welcome in this city region. And I can safely say, I think the majority of the city stands by that. Unfortunately, not all. And I think there has been, sadly, a kind of redefinition of even the term racism. And I think it's about going back to, you know, the understanding of what racism is, along with, as you say, all inequalities and all discrimination. And it's about us standing together. It is a really difficult route, you know, to some extent we're trying to save the world, and it's not going to happen overnight. But if we don't come together and we don't talk about this, and we don't look at, you know, let's not be tokenistic, let's not just put our black square on Instagram, let's go beyond that and work together, then change won't happen if we don't force it. So I thought thank you so much. Privileged to hear it, and I can't wait to work together